He thought his secret was safe with her. She thought I was just some idiot. 2 years later, when she smirked at me in court, ready to claim my everything, I dropped a truth bomb that wiped the smug right off her face. The look of utter devastation? Priceless. It was 2023, just 3 years into my marriage with Sora. We were 26 and 28 respectively, living what I thought was a pretty normal, happy life. Then one day, she mentioned her old childhood friend was in town. HES just passing through. Wanted to catch up, she said, casual as anything. Am heading out to meet him for coffee. I just shrugged. Told her to have a good time and be safe. No big deal. Right, childhood friends reconnecting. Happens all the time. Except, it started happening a lot. That passing through turned into him staying for what felt like ages. In the span of maybe 2 months, she met up with him more than 6 times. 6. For a childhood friend who was just passing through. Each time she'd say she was going to meet him, a little knot would tighten in my stomach. It was an outright suspicion at first, more like a low-minus grade hum of unease. My goal at this point was just to figure out what was actually going on, to either quiet that hum or, well, prepare for something worse. I needed some data, so one evening, I casually asked her, "Hey, what does your friend even do? Is he based here now?" She paused, just a bit too long, then said, "Oh, you know, HES kind of a traveler." A traveler. My brain immediately flagged that. Who describes their job as a traveler unless they're trying to be vague? It was the profession. It was a lifestyle, and a very convenient one for someone who seemed to be popping up in our lives so frequently. That was the first real sign. The one that hit me like a little jab to the gut. This isn't right. My dilemma was clear. Do I trust her vague answer and brush off the increasing frequency of their meetings? Or do I lean into this gut feeling that something's off? A few days later, she was heading out to meet him again. This time, I decided to push it. "You know what? I'm heading that way. It'll drop you off." I tried to sound nonchalant, but inside, I was already bracing myself. She immediately objected. "No, it's fine. I can just take the bus." Her insistence on going alone, coupled with that traveler comment, just amplified the alarm bells. Why was she so against me coming? What was the big secret? Nevertheless, I insisted back, gently but firmly. Eventually, she gave in. We drove in silence, the air thick with unspoken tension. I'd only seen photos of this guy, perfectly friendly, typical-looking dude, but meeting him in person, even just for a quick handshake as I dropped her off, was a whole different story. He had this easy smirk, almost too confident, and when our hands met, there was something about his grip, or maybe just the look in his eye, that sent a shiver down my spine. My gut screamed. It was a physical reaction, a pure, unadulterated "this is bad" feeling that washed over me. As I watched them walk off together, laughing easily, I knew I had to do something I wouldn't be proud of. I had to confirm this. I decided to follow them. It felt dirty, invasive, and completely against who I wanted to be. But the alternative, living with this growing dread and doubt, felt worse. I kept a safe distance, my heart pounding in my chest with every turn. And then, there it was, in a quiet little park, tucked away behind some trees. My wife, Sarah, and her childhood friend, locked in a kiss. A long, undeniable kiss. The world just stopped. My foot came off the gas. The car drifted slightly. My breath hitched. It wasn't just a quick peck. It was a full Midas-on, intimate kiss. For a moment, my brain couldn't process it. This couldn't be real. My wife. kissing another man. I didn't say anything, didn't approach them. I just sat there, numb. What was there to say? What was there to do in that exact moment? Nothing. I just put the car back in gear and drove away. The image seared into my mind. Coming home, I was a wreck, more sad than angry. Honestly, if she wanted to be with him, if she wanted to cheat, why didn't she just break up with me first, end things cleanly? This felt like such a profound disrespect. A lie built on top of a lie. Now, every smile she'd given me in the last 2 months, every kiss, every time she'd said my name, it all felt tainted. A massive, deliberate lie. Read it. I'm reeling. My world just got turned upside down. What even is that feeling when everything you thought was real just shatters? How do you even begin to process something like this? I'm completely lost. Driving home that day, the sadness was a heavy blanket, suffocating me. It wasn't the kind of raging anger I always imagined did feel if something like this ever happened. It was more like a profound disappointment, a deep, deep, aching sorrow. My brain was running through a highlight reel of the last 2 months, her casual "he's just a friend" comments, her nervous glances, the way she'd sometimes hug me a little too tight after coming home, almost like she was overcompensizing. Every single one of those moments now felt like a performance, a carefully constructed illusion. The traveler, the insistence on going alone, the gut feeling, it all clicked into place. A devastatingly clear picture. It wasn't just a betrayal. It felt like a complete erasure of our shared reality. My goal then wasn't to rage or break down. It was to understand how to move through this without completely losing myself. My dilemma was how to react in a way that truly served me, not just my immediate, gut-minus wrenching pain. I got home, locked the door, and just sat in the living room, staring at nothing. Hours passed. I needed to figure out my next move. One thought kept circling: I am not giving her the satisfaction of seeing me fall apart. It always had this theory that when a cheater sees your raw, broken reaction, that's when they truly feel justified, or at least a twisted sense of power. I couldn't give her that. I absolutely refused. That was my strategy for surviving the initial confrontation: maintain a poker face. When she finally walked through the door a few hours later, she had this light, airy expression, a smile still lingering from her time with him. She saw me sitting there in the dim light, and her smile faltered. "Hey, you're home early," she said, her voice a little too bright. I just looked at her, my face a mask. "We need to talk," I said, my voice flat, devoid of any emotion. Her eyes darted around the room, then back to me. "About what?" "About what you were doing in the park today," I stated, keeping my tone even, almost conversational. Her face drained of color. For a good 30 minutes, she tried to deny it. "What, nothing, I was just having coffee with friend's name," she stammered. Lied, tried to turn it around on me. My brain processed her words. This is her instinct. To lie, to protect herself, to manipulate. But I just held her gaze, not raising my voice, not showing an ounce of the devastation churning inside me. I simply repeated the facts. Calmly, I saw you. I saw you kissing him." The moment she realized there was no denying it, the fight went out of her. Her shoulders slumped. The denial crumbled. "I am so sorry," she whispered, tears starting to well up. I didn't react. No anger, no tears from me. Just a cold, hard silence. This is what it comes down to, I realized. The complete fabrication of trust. That's when the new goal solidified in my mind. This marriage was over. But it wasn't going to end in a fiery explosion. It was going to end on my terms. With careful precision. I needed time. I needed space. I stood up. "I'm leaving for a bit," I told her. "I need to think." I packed a bag, grabbed my keys, and walked out the door. I ended up staying with a friend for a week. That week was crucial. It wasn't just about getting away. It was about processing, about building a new plan. In that time, away from her, the profound sadness began to harden into a quiet resolve. I will not be the victim here. She called me incessantly, texted, begged me to come home. After a week, against every fiber of my being, I went back. My rationale was simple: I needed to appear open to reconciliation to execute my long game. When I walked back in, she was a mess, tearful, apologetic, swearing it was a mistake, a one-time thing. Okay, I said, cutting through her apologies. I'll try to forgive you. But there's a condition. Her eyes widened, desperate for any sign of hope. If I'm going to even consider making this work, then I'm going to sleep with someone else. And I won't tell you when it happens. You'll just have to live with it. The look on her face, it was a mix of shock, fear, and reluctant acceptance. She gulped. You want to cheat on me? No, I corrected her, my voice still devoid of emotion. I want to do what you did, and you'll live with the uncertainty. Just like I have been. It was a dangerous, risky gambit, a completely unorthodox move, but it was a calculated one. I needed her to carry a piece of the burden, to be on edge, and most importantly, I needed it to buy me time and space to plan my actual exit. After some hesitation, some more tears, she reluctantly accepted. Read it. I just made a deal with the devil, and part of me feels absolutely sick about it. The other part feels like I just laid the first trap. I'm living a lie within a lie. Have I completely lost my mind? Is this the only way to come back from something like this and playing a dangerous game here? And I don't know if I'm even capable of pulling it off. What do you guys think? Am I just postponing the inevitable? Or am I setting myself up for a win? All right, buckle up. Read it. This is where the long game truly plays out. She reluctantly accepted my condition, thinking it was the price of reconciliation. But here's the twisted truth: I had never, not for a single second, truly forgiven her. The moment I saw her kissing that guy in the park, something inside me irrevocably broke. The decision was made that week I spent away, while she was begging me to come home. I knew then that this marriage was over. My forgiveness and that shocking condition were just a smokescreen, a strategic move to buy myself time and protect myself. My goal was clear: extract myself from this marriage completely and cleanly, leaving no loose ends, and ensuring I was financially secure. My dilemma, which I carried every single day, was how to live this elaborate lie without breaking, without giving anything away, for what I knew would be a significant amount of time. For the next 2 years, that's exactly what I did. I lived a double life. On the surface, things were normal minus ish. We went through the motions. We had conversations, shared meals, even the occasional movie night. But underneath it all, I was operating on a different plane. She was always living in anticipation, constantly scanning my behavior. Is today the day he cheats? Is he out with someone now? She'd ask vague questions, try to subtly dig, but I never gave her anything. I just shrugged, give an uncommittal answer, or turn the question back on her. It was a silent, psychological war, and I knew she was losing it. Every day she spent wondering was a day she paid for what she did. It was exhausting, draining, maintaining that blank, unreadable facade, but it was essential. While she was caught up in her own guilt and anticipation, I was busy executing my actual plan, quietly, meticulously. Over those 2 years, I systematically transferred all my major assets to my parents. Property, investments, anything significant went into their names. Then, I started moving money, bit by bit, into my little sister's account. It wasn't about spite. It was about self minus preservation. I wasn't going to be left high and dry after everything. It's wild to think it took 2 whole years. But she genuinely